What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the lab. I'm your host, Dr. Hoffman, the crazy and the a little probably insane. But without further ado, I'm going to bring you guys the Set 16 Zamasu Goku Black Wish deck. Deck just came out. I know I've been hyping this deck up quite a bit on the Zamasu page as well as the main group. There's been a lot of people posting up deck lists and testing online and streaming whatnot, like Eggman and others, running blue Unisons, running blue yellow heavy decks. Personally, I don't think that's the right way. I think my deck is it's extremely consistent. Draw power is absolutely absurd, and the stall potential is just on top of that as well. Is just ridiculous. But without further ado, this deck list is brought to you by Tri-finity Customs. Makes all my playmats and my custom sleeves, as well as my team. My captain, Chris Anderson over at TCG MetalZ. Check out their website, or his website, where you can get your TCG Metal leaders. He has Magic the Gathering, Commanders, as well as Dragon Ball leaders as well. And then once a month we have our TCG MetalZ online webcam event. Go on the website and find out more information about that. But yeah, brought to you by TCG MetalZ X DBS-Deckplanet, and Team Berserk as well. We all merged and we are all part of one team. So for the first set of cards, everybody's wondering, how many balls we're running. Personally speaking, I feel like this is the most consistent. Don't worry, I have the foil on the way. I believe... So this deck naturally just draws a buttload. You're drawing 2 off the coercion, you're drawing 1 off the balls. So you got to think that there's 7 cards that are getting pulled out of your deck. And then plus the 4 for each of these if you're actually drawing off them and you're not just discarding them without drawing to awaken faster. So that's 4 on each of these, that's 8. Plus the cards itself, that's 12. And then you have each of these, that's 3. Plus the draw power of 3. So that's 6. So that's 18 cards that you're drawing with this alone off of just your first set of draws. Now, if you don't know what this leader does, when you attack, so you have to attack to search for your 2 Dragon Balls. So you search your life or you search your deck. When you grab your Dragon Balls, obviously it's during your auto, so you're not going to be able to use them right away. You got to wait for the attack to go through. And then your wish is at 3 or less life, so if you're playing against aggro, it's a little bit easier. So you don't have to see the balls like the old wish leaders where you had a problem where aggro kind of just shut off the deck because you didn't have all the Dragon Balls, so you weren't able to awaken and defend yourself. Or if you have 7 or less life. 7 or less life, 7 Dragon Balls in your drop, or 3 or less life. Your awaken is you draw 1, place all the Dragon Balls from your drop area into the bottom of your deck. So let me recap what I just said. We're drawing 18, or we're losing 18 cards in deck just for cycling through all 7 of your Dragon Balls. And that's drawing 2 with each one of these. Then you bottom deck them, and you draw 1. So you're cycling 18, you're bottom decking your 7 back, then you're cycling through them again, potentially, for another 18. And then your leader searches for them and just keeps drawing. And then once you're done with this, you're drawing 1 off the effect. So this side's effect, activate main once per turn, like any other wish leader. You can you choose one of these skills. You draw 1, add up to 1 Dragon Ball card from your deck to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So the cards you just bottom decked, you can grab 1 right back and then start digging again. And then the ultimate is you remove the 7 Dragon Balls in the drop area from the game. If you do, you play one Zamasu card with energy cost of 2 or less and indestructible. So it has to have indestructible and it has to be 2 costs or less from your warp area. And then this card, so your leader card, gains triple attack. Okay. It's pretty good. It's a triple attack, 15k, and essentially it's free because your deck just cycles through and you're going to find your balls again. So you're looking at your seven Dragon Balls. We're going to put these aside like this. Lay out the deck. Stack them like that. Going into the next, a lot of people were playing or potentially trying to play the new Unison. I think the card is great. I think it's an absolutely outstanding card. I'm running it at 3. I felt like 4 was too much because you draw so much you don't need to see it all the time. And unless you're really knowing that you can tap out turn 2 for this card, maybe against like a later game deck, like a mid-range or stall game, like Sin Shenron or something that goes into the later turns, and you know this is going to be safe on turn 2 to tap out, that's when you play it. That's the turn that you play it if you want to see your Dragon Balls faster, depending on the matchup. So if you don't know what this card does, it's a 2-cost specified yellow. It has Empower 2. So if you already have a Unison on board, you can tap 2, play this, and then as long as it has 2 markers, it'll gain those 2 markers. If it only has 1, then it only gains 1. The auto, if this card was played with 4 markers, so that's where the Empower comes from, or you can just tap 4 to play it. Very rarely has this auto ever came into fruition, for me at least. But when it has 4 more markers when it's played, you draw 1, and then all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, not ignoring barrier, gets KO'd. So it comes up every so often, but it hasn't really came up too much. So that's why I don't feel that 4 is a strong number for the deck. I think it's really safe to keep it at 2, or keep it at 3, excuse me. The +2 activate main is you place it up to 2 Dragon Balls from your deck into your drop area. So you don't get the draw, but you get the filter. So especially if you awaken, put them back in your deck, and then you want to just start digging and getting them in there faster to get the triple attack faster, because maybe late game you just have has a bad matchup or something like that. Like you don't want to allow Sin Shenron to get to the 7 energy for the effect, or you don't want to play against Xeno Sin Shenron, and you know that if the game goes long enough with all this draw power, you're going to eventually deck out. Those are kind of the terms where you want to get off this triple attack a little bit faster. The +/-0 activate main, completely irrelevant for this deck specifically. Activate main, +/-0, play up to 1 Gowasu card with energy cost of 1 from your deck, and then shuffle your deck. I don't run any Gowasus. I did a lot of research on which ones could be used, and all of them can, yeah, they search for God cards, but it's all only the top 3. So to add another card that just digs only 3 when your deck digs significantly already, to me it's not worth putting the space. And running yellow, you have a lot of just good generic yellow cards. Then next, as for some extra cards we run in the deck, running 2 of the Frieza Army reinforcements. This is the 5 life or less, take a life, summon a Frieza Army blocker token for the turn, or summon the token and then it gains blocker for the turn. Very good negate in general. As you'll see with the deck, you're overall just tapping down a lot of cards. So having an extra blocker is just another way to protect your life and stall out the game. And then the next extra card we have is Vegeta Final Flash. I was testing it at 1 and 1 in the sideboard. I was testing it at 0. I was testing it at 2. 2 is definitely where I want to keep it. This deck has a really bad problem with barrier cards, being able to tap down things, but none of the things that you can tap ignore barrier. So being able to get around barrier is definitely needed for this deck. So I think that Vegeta Final Flash is 100% a must-have for 2 at 2. Next, with set 16 recently coming out, we have these gorgeous Realm of the God Black Kamea cards. So if you don't know what this does, it's a 1-cost yellow extra card. It's activate battle if your leader card is yellow. You choose up to one card, one of your cards, and it gains 10k power. So it's a 1-cost 10k combo, essentially. And then you choose one. So you choose one of these 2 effects. If it's your turn, you choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. Okay, doesn't ignore barrier. Final Flash helps with that in case you need it. The second effect is, this is the more important effect that I run it for, and especially at a 2 of. If it's your opponent's turn, you draw one, so you replace the card. So essentially it's a 1-cost 10k draw. And then you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards and switch them to rest mode. So if they flood the board and they swing and you have an energy open for this and they have 2 battle cards, you just, one, you stop the attack because it buffs your leader from either 10 to 20 or 15 to 25. And then you just rest 2 of their battle cards that they just either paid money for, or some decks, you know, got them for cheap. And then you just essentially stop all their attacks for that turn. Definitely strong 2 of. Because it doesn't ignore barrier, I wouldn't consider going any higher. If it did ignore barrier, then I would definitely consider a 3 or 4 of. And then as for the last extra card I run in the deck, the 1 of Power of a Super Saiyan, to negate. Everybody knows what it does. If you have 1 or more mono yellow energy in active mode, you can not pay its cost for the activate battle. Leader card is mono yellow. You draw 1, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards or unisons and switch it to active mode. So, mind you, this won't work if you have, you know, your multicolors open. It's only mono yellow as it states, so you got to really cycle your energy properly. But using this to tap a unison down and then tapping 1 to use this to tap their battle card, 2 of their battle cards down, it's a very tap down oriented deck. I think with the proper pilot, this deck is extremely oppressive and toxic in a sense. Going into the battle cards, so we have Zamasu self-supported are my 2-drop Zamasus with indestructible that you could in theory play off of the ultimate, which is a free 5k combo. You're not going to swing with it, it's a 10k. The big thing about this is this and coercion are what I want to see on turn 1. If I'm attacking, then I don't necessarily need to see the ball. Obviously, the faster you awaken, the better. But, so this Zamasu, activate main limit 1 for 1 yellow. If your leader card is Zamasu or Goku Black, add this card to your hand from your warp. Okay, so for 1 yellow, I can grab this back to hand for a free 5k combo. And then also activate battle. Send this card and 1 Goku card in your combo area to the owner's warps and draw 1. Okay, so you're wondering, a lot of people I've seen try to limit this to 3, which I don't think that that's the smartest play at all. So if you read coercion properly, if your leader card is a yellow Shenron Zamasu or Shenron Goku Black, you may choose 1 God card in your hand and send it to your warp. If you do, you draw 2. Okay. So you warp a God card from your hand, right? So you warp this card from your hand, draw 2. Then you tap 1 energy to bring the same exact card that you just warped back to your hand. And then you activate a second coercion to warp the same exact card to draw 2 more. It's literally a free 1-cost draw 4, essentially, with utilizing coercions. And then the activate battle, you're comboing a lot of these Zamasu and Goku Blacks to bring in the 5-drops, which I'll show you in a little bit. So being able to combo this card, combo the Goku Black, play the 5-drop, and you can just warp these, and then you can just tap 1 and bring it back to your hand. And you draw 1 off the activate battle effect. So we're going to put these up here. The other 2 Zamasu 2-drops with indestructible. If you were to play a card, I run 2 of the Zamasu eliminators. They're a phenomenal card. Obviously, the errata kind of hurt them a little bit, but it still pushes a 4-cost battle card back to their hand. Obviously, it doesn't ignore deflect because it's part of the counterplay skill. And then the auto skill does get around deflect, but it doesn't get around barrier. When this card is played, you draw 1, then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and rest it. So another card that rests a battle card. Rests a battle card. Power of a Super Saiyan rests a battle card. Realm of the Gods rests a battle card. So far we got 1, 2, 3 cards so far that rest battle cards. Going into the Goku Black chain, so I have the SR, the new Super Saiyan Rose Goku Black. I'm currently subbing these two Goku Blacks. The Goku Black suppressing time itself. It's going to be a 4 of. I have them on their way. These were just proxies, so I can playtest today at my locals. And then I'm running 2 of these blue Goku Blacks. So these Goku Blacks came out in set 7. It has 1 specified blue. I don't ever play these. I'm using these more so as like combo fodder or Aegis discard fodder. So very, very rarely, if ever at all, I don't really play these. So if you're wondering why I play these and not the Unforeseen Darkness one, it's because the Unforeseen Darkness has 2 specified blue. So it's harder to play, because I don't really charge more than 1 multicolor card. So that's why I kept it at 1 in case I ever do want to play it and ramp myself a turn. It gives me knowledge on the opponent's top card of their deck. If it's a battle card, it puts it in their energy and rest mode. Otherwise, I draw a card and your opponent shuffles the deck. So it's a combo card, and it's a Goku Black card to help me, and it's a God card as well to help me discard for coercion if I need it. But those cards are kind of essentially irrelevant, but like I said, there's just more of Aegis and combo fodder. The big daddy of the deck regarding the Goku Blacks is this Goku Black Rose. So permanent, as long as it's on the when it's on the battlefield, it's also treated as blue. But the auto limit 1, so you can only play once per turn, or you can only play it and get the auto effect once per turn. If your leader card is yellow, when this card is played, choose up to 1 of your opponent's non-leader cards and switch it to rest mode. So it's another card to switch your opponent's non-leader cards to rest mode. So that means energy, battle cards, Unison. I mean, fields, if they had a field that they needed to tap for some reason, you could do that as well. Activate main for 1 energy. Send this card to the owner's warp. So the activate main has to be on board. You draw a card, and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and rest mode and KO it. Another thing that does not ignore barrier, i.e. why we run Final Flash at 2 of. The best part about this card, in my opinion, is the activate battle for 2. If you have 2 or more blue and or yellow cards in your battle area and or combo area, play this card from your hand or from your warp. So you can combo with this and combo with this, right? The card I'm about to show you in a second is the 5-drop Zamasu, which has an activate battle effect for 1 blue and 1 yellow. If your leader card is Zamasu or Goku Black card, and there's at least 1 Zamasu and 1 Goku Black in your combo area, play this card from your hand. So for 2 energy, I get to play this guy, right? So we have the Goku Black and the Zamasu in the combo area. Tap 1 blue, 1 yellow. Play this card. Zamasu's activate battle effect. We warp these cards from the combo area and draw 1. So now we have this 5-drop on board, which has Aegis. So this card's Aegis effect is a untap 2. So we typically untap, the blue and 1 of the yellows, unless you have something that needs, like, say you don't want to take a life for Frieza Army Reinforcements, so you want to untap 2 yellows specifically for some reason and not the multicolor. Or you have Power of a Super Saiyan and you don't want to accidentally leave open the multicolor to use that. You can untap the 2 yellows. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's non-leader cards and switch it to rest mode when you activate Aegis. Another tap a non-leader card. So that's another card other than the leader. So Unison, battle card, field card, energy, whatever you want to tap, that's your availability to tap. So we're going to run this card at 4 of. It's a energy, so it has energy exhaust, so you don't really want to charge it. Unique, so you can only have 1 on the board. It's indestructible, so the only way to remove it is by negating its power down to 0 or negating its skills and then removing it via KO, warp, and other effects. It does have blocker, and the Aegis is only once per turn. So like I said, when you combo with the Goku Black and Zamasu, activate battle, tap 1 blue and 1 yellow, play it, and then when you activate Aegis, you untap your energy for Aegis, as well as choose up to 1 of your opponent's non-leader cards and switch into rest mode. Going to the more God cards. So mind you, these are all God cards, these are all God cards, these, and these are all God cards as well for the discard for coercion. Going into the deck further, we are running 4 of the 9-drop Zamasu. So the 9-drop Zamasu, if you don't know what 9-drop does, so he also has energy exhaust unique. He has double strike. 35k indestructible and blocker as well. Evolves over a blue 5-drop, so this blue 5-drop, for 2 unspecified, 1 specified blue and 1 specified yellow. Aegis, blue, yellow, once per turn as well. But the permanent, if your leader card is a Zamasu or Goku Black card, so this works in any Zamasu or Goku Black, doesn't have to be yellow Wish leader, negates the energy exhaust skill. So this card is a phenomenal card to find on turn 1 or turn 2 to charge. I usually try to find it on those specific turns because I can charge a turn 1 and have a blue and a yellow open. And then that's the only blue you need open. You don't need any more than that open. This only costs, the ZAAMMAAASSUUUUU limiter only costs 2 and it's 1 specified blue. This comes out for 2, 1 blue, 1 yellow. This comes out for 4, 1 blue, 1 yellow, 2 random. So you don't need to ever charge more than 1 multicolor. If you just have a really good hand and Zamasu the limiter and you want the extra blue for some reason, then sure, charge it, I guess. But this card's auto says when you activate this card's Aegis skill, you draw 1. So you discard 1 or 2, depending. You can discard either a multicolor or you can discard 1 blue and 1 yellow to fulfill the Aegis effect. You draw 1, and then you switch this card to active mode. So you can block with this card, Aegis in the block phase, for your defensive step. Untap it, so you get 2 blocks out of it. And then you also get to switch one of your opponent's non-leader, or one of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. So this card can in fact tap your opponent's leader card. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that can potentially tap down your opponent's board. And you're utilizing a lot of these in 1 turn potentially. So you can Zamasu and Goku Black combo once this is already, or once the 9-drop's already on the board, to play another 5-drop. So you can tap 2 to play the 5-drop, right? You use the Zamasu effect to warp the Goku Black. So the Goku Black's now in your warp, and you already have the 9-drop, and now you have the 5-drop. So you meet the requirements for the activate battle. So then you can activate the Aegis on the 5-drop that you just put into play by discarding either a blue, yellow, or a blue and a yellow to untap 2, rest something else, and then you get to play this guy from your warp for 2 energy. There's a lot of chain effects and a lot of very, very good tap down, potentially tap up to 5, 6, 7 cards even in one given turn if your opponent doesn't cycle properly. Going further, we have our super combo split. So I'm running a 2 of for Sacred Disbelief Zamasu. Everybody knows what this does. It's a blue-yellow super combo. It's live on turn 1. If your leader card is blue or yellow, when you combo with this card from your hand, you choose up to one of your opponent's leader cards or battle cards and switch it to rest mode. So it's another card to tap something else down. But a card that wasn't really used and hasn't been used in a while is Counterblast Son Gohan. So I was digging through the super combos and I realized over the course of testing with this deck, the deck just has way too much draw power for running Krillins. So I was looking at something that maybe drew only 1 or had an additional effect like Zamasu. So this Counterblast Son Gohan is a 1 cost. It's live when you're at 4 or less life. You can actually physically play this card, and when you play the card, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. And then, if your leader card is yellow, and your life is at 4 or less, when you use this card in a combo, so you can tap 1 to play 1, and then combo it from the battle area, you draw 1, or if it's your turn, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. So it doesn't ignore barrier, right? Like majority of this deck, but you can play 1 to tap 1, and then you can just combo it, and if you're comboing it on your turn, you can just KO the card that you rested, assuming that you meet the requirements of them having 5 or more cards in rest mode. I think it's a very phenomenal card. I think it's especially in this deck, it's kind of like one of those things where it just came back. It came out with the yellow Gotenks deck. I believe it's set 10, so it came out with Sin Shenron as well. Going next for the non-god and non-Zamasu cards and stuff like that. Running all these yellow extra cards, the coercions are yellow extra cards. It makes sense to run Goku Steadfast Assistance. If you don't know what this does, it's a counterplay. The card being played is played in rest mode and you draw a card. And then it's reduced cost for every yellow, by 1 for every yellow extra card in your battle area, energy area, or drop area. So Coercion filters this and makes this live for a 1-drop. Blocker, rest a card being played, draw a card on turn 1. The next card I run is Mecha Frieza Repost. Robotic Riposte, excuse me. Counterattack, negate the attack, play this card. So the permanent, if your leader card is yellow and your opponent has 2 or more energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each yellow extra card in your energy or drop area. So if you don't go first, you go second. This is essentially live onto your turn 1 as long as you see 2 of your coercion balls, or if you see 1 and you charge an extra card of some sort. But when this card is played from your hand, each time your opponent would attack with a non-unison card, they must tap one of their cards on their... choose one of their cards in active mode and switch it to rest mode. And then activate main +2, or for 2 yellow, choose up to 1 yellow Frieza with energy cost of 4 and mecha in its card name and add it from your hand and play it on top of the card. I don't run any of those. It would be cool, like, little tech to run the one that can search for your opponent's hand and play a card in rest mode. There's no room for it. After that, we're playing Turles. We're only playing Turles at 2 because your leader card is not Saiyan until you awaken. So it's pretty much a dead card at 4. If anything, you're charging it majority of the time. I really don't play this a lot unless I'm trying to KO something or kill a Unison. This is pretty much why it's in the deck, is it's a Unison killer. But if you don't know what this does, it's a double strike, 20k. When this card is played, you choose one of the effects. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, KO it. And then you draw 1, or you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO it. So you get to either blow up 2 things, or you blow up 1 thing and draw a card. And then the activate main for 2 yellow. If your leader card is a mono yellow Saiyan and you have 3 or more energy, you play this card from your hand. So if you check the leader, you're a god and Shenron on this side, and then you're a god, Shenron, and a Saiyan on this side, because Goku Black, takes after Goku and steals his body and whatnot. So he's a Saiyan. So it's only live on the Awakened side. That's why I believe that it's a good 2 of. I mean, you can run it at 3. It's not a bad card. It's a great card. If you can find the space for it, the way you want to play the deck, have at it and run it at 3. I did test it at 3 for a while. I just feel like 2 is a better bet. And then with all of the tap downs, obviously you got to run your 1 over Bergamo. Bergamo's been out for a hot minute now, but if you don't know what it does, for 1 yellow and 1 unspecified, when one of your opponent's cards is switched to rest mode by one of your skills, so like 90% of this deck, you get to play it. And then if your leader card is yellow or a U9 card, so we meet the yellow requirement, when you play this card, choose it to your 2 of your opponent's battle cards and or energy, ignoring barrier, switch on the rest mode. So now you get to rest the silver bullets that people might take out to try to mess with your Aegis effects. So you get to rest those cards and just start swinging into it. I mean, if you rest it with Bergamo and then you're gonna swing into it with like a 35k beat stick Zamasu, that's just gonna untap anyway when you do Aegis. They're not gonna save it. They might negate. Cool if they negate, then have at it. Swing it out with the leader next time then. Other yellow good cards. I 100% have taken these cards out and put them back in, and taken them out and put them back in at least 5 or 6 times now since I've been testing this deck. It's yellow. Why not? Play the Lord Slug Engine. I'm only doing a 2-2 split. Certain decks, it just doesn't do much necessarily against. So it's really good for later turns. I don't want to see them necessarily too early. Unless it's against this deck. This card actually really shuts down this deck. I experienced that about a week ago or so. My buddy was playing against me. He was playing Golden Frieza. Got this out on turn 2 or turn 3, I think it was. And I couldn't draw Dragon Balls. I couldn't do anything. And I didn't have an out to this. At the time, I was only main decking 1 Vegeta Final Flash. And I just didn't see it. After that, we run Swift Retaliation Cooler at 1 of. It's a counter, negates the counter skill, so if you're going to swing for game, you have the counter, and summons another body. Play this card, draw 1, and if you have your opponent, if you have 6 or more cards in rest mode, you draw an extra card. So it's a tap 3, negate the counter attack, and then you draw 2 potentially. After that, with all this tap down, nothing would be the same without running 2 Poutines. The deck draws a lot, like I've said multiple times, but I want to see this sucker, because Poutine in this deck, on top of tapping down everything else, is just that much more toxic. And that's the type of player I am when it comes to yellow and tap down good stuff. After that, we run the big boy Son Goku Return of the Dragon Fist. So if you don't know what this card does, it has Deflect and Double Strike. When this card is played, you choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode and KO them. There's bound to be cards in rest mode because you're bound to rest stuff. For 3 energy, 3 yellow energy, on an activate main, if you have 4 or more energy in a yellow Unison in play, yellow Unison, play this card from your hand. The second activate main, once per turn, Spirit Boost 2. So Spirit Boost 2, if you don't know what that does, you have to remove 2 markers off your Unison. If your leader card is mono yellow, this card gains dual attack for the turn, and your opponent cannot activate skills on battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less from any area. So super combos are dead. Blockers are perfectly fine because the 7 costs or less, they don't have a cost. So the blocker on like Frieza Army Reinforcement will get around that. I learned the hard way. Did not pay attention to that. So this is a very good late game dual attack double striker, 25k. They can't use super combos because they cost 7 or less. They can't use Aegis in a mirror. They can't do, or this one they could. They couldn't use Aegis on the 5-drop. They can't use any of these types of effects. They can't use Mecha Frieza to repost. They can't use any of those stuff. And then for what I feel is the best secret rare to possibly run in this deck, obviously people are going to argue with me on this, but the new Super Mirror Diabolical Fusion from set 16 secret rare. So it's a 4-cost minimum yellow. It's the secret rare, so you can only run 1. It's a dual attacker. It's a blocker. It has Empower 3. So if this card is on board with 3 or more markers, and you're plussing 2 every turn, so you're probably bound to have it, this card, after you tap 4, comes in with 7 markers on it. The first activate main for 4 unspecified energy it's a moot point. It's for if your leader card is a black android card, so it's Finn support. So we don't worry about that. The +1 auto, when your opponent attacks, switch this card to active mode. Okay, so you get to dual attack, right? And then you get the auto. So you add a marker, you untap it, and then you can activate the blocker effect because you are the player and you decide which order your auto is resolved. But the key about this card is, with this specific engine, the way I play this deck, the activate main is a -4. So if you tap 4 and you have this on board with 3 markers on it, you get Empower 3, go to 7, right? So 7 -4. So you activate main, choose all of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and KO them. Then, choose up to 2 of your opponent's cards and switch them to rest mode, and this card gains 15k and double strike for the turn. So, for 4 energy, you're playing this with 7 markers, you're minusing 4, bringing yourself down to the 3. You're blowing up everything in rest mode, ignoring barrier, battle card wise. You're tapping down 2 more cards, so you can tap down 2 energy. And then this card becomes a 40k dual attack double striker. Now, mind you, if you stall out until turn 7, right? And you play this for the 7 markers, you can, for only 4 energy, 7 -4 is 3. You can play this for 3 more and Spirit Boost. Bring your Mira down to 1. Dual attack, double strike, 40k. And then during this card's attack, he's a dual attack, double strike, 25k. Perfectly speaking, if you draw well and if you're not playing against red and negging your indestructible cards through the roof or into the ground, you have your Zamasu out on turn 4. You potentially might have a Turles on board. You potentially might have another Zamasu or another Goku Black on board. You might have your triple attack leader available, you're tapping out for it, but you're tapping out for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then whatever other battle cards you might be summoning, potential damage. So this is my control stall out, tap down Zamasu deck, the new Wish deck. If you like the profile and you want to test it, you want to ask me questions, by all means, message me on Facebook, comment on the video. I'll be willing to answer whatever questions you might have. Don't forget, there's always room for improvement. As more cards come out, more changes might happen. I might not have thought about something that could potentially break this deck even more. I definitely will be putting in the 2 other ones once I receive them in the mail from my buddy Chris. And then I think this is definitely in a very good spot. So once again, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do that. Please like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, hit the down like video, or hit the thumbs down and let me know why you don't like it. Once again, this video is brought to you by Tri-finity Customs, as well as Team TCG MetalZ X DBS-Deckplanet, X Team Berserk. Shout out to my Canadian boys. But once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I appreciate you guys.